Election season rolls around every 2 to 4 years and millions of Americans head to the polls on a Tuesday. But have you ever stopped to wonder why we vote on Tuesdays? Out of all the days in the week, why was Tuesday chosen and how did this tradition begin? It's a peculiar day for such an important event, and it's only one of many strange facts about US elections. Today, we're diving into the surprising origins behind Election Day, some unique quirks of the American voting system, and little-known stories from election history. But first, if you had the power to change Election Day to a different day, which would you choose? Let us know in the comments below. And remember to like this video and subscribe for more fascinating dives into the hidden facts behind our everyday lives. Let's start with the big question. Why do Americans vote on a Tuesday? The answer actually takes us back to the early 1800s. In 1845, Congress officially established Election Day as the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. But why Tuesday? And why November? Back then, the United States was primarily an agricultural society. Most people were farmers who relied on a schedule dictated by the seasons. November was a practical month for voting because the harvest was over, and winter weather hadn't yet made travel too difficult. But why not Monday or Wednesday? Here's where it gets interesting. Sunday was a day reserved for church, and because travel was slow in the 1800s, Monday wouldn't work either. It would have required people to travel on Sunday to reach the polling stations. By holding elections on Tuesday, people had time to travel without disrupting their religious practices. It's a quirky system rooted in history, but it's stuck with us. Today, some people argue that Tuesday isn't convenient for modern voters. Countries like France and Germany hold elections on Sundays, while Australia does it on Saturdays. Despite the debate, Tuesday remains our election day, and it's a unique part of American tradition. Did you know that voting wasn't always a private affair? In fact, before the 1890s, most American elections were conducted through what's known as voice voting. This meant voters would announce their choices publicly, often in front of their neighbors, which led to a lot of peer pressure and intimidation. This all changed in the late 19th century with the introduction of the secret ballot, sometimes called the Australian ballot, because it was first implemented in Australia. With this system, voters could mark their choices on a paper ballot in private without fear of being influenced or pressured. The secret ballot helped reduce corruption and made the process more democratic. But it also led to another election quirk. The design of voting booths and ballots varies widely across the US. There's no national standard, so each state has its own rules and formats, leading to the unique butterfly ballots and other designs that occasionally make headlines for being confusing. Another oddity of American elections is the Electoral College. Unlike most countries where the winner is determined by a simple majority of votes, US presidential elections are decided by a group of electors. The Electoral College system means that a candidate can win the presidency without winning the popular vote, a situation that has occurred 5 times in US history, most recently in the 2016 election. The Electoral College was created as a compromise. The Founding Fathers feared that direct democracy could lead to mob rule, so they established a system where electors would have the final say in the election. Each state is assigned a certain number of electors based on its population, with a total of 538 electors in the US today. The system has been debated for years, with some calling for its abolition and others arguing it protects smaller states. Love it or hate it, the Electoral College is one of the most distinctive features of American democracy. Election season in the United States wouldn't be complete without campaign ads, catchy slogans, and those iconic buttons. But did you know that campaign buttons date back to George Washington's time? In 1789, supporters of Washington wore brass buttons inscribed with his initials and slogans like "Long live the President." Campaign ads, meanwhile, became popular in the 20th century with the rise of radio and television. One of the most famous ads is Lyndon B. Johnson's Daisy ad from 1964, which featured a young girl counting petals on a daisy before a nuclear explosion interrupted her. The ad was only aired once, but its shocking imagery left a lasting impact on voters. Slogans are another powerful tool in campaigns. Who can forget slogans like "I like Ike" for Dwight D. Eisenhower or Barack Obama's "Yes, we can"? These catchy phrases are designed to stick in voters' minds, becoming synonymous with a candidate's message and personality. Voting rights in the United States have come a long way. Originally, only white male landowners could vote. Over time, the right to vote was extended to other groups through hard-fought battles and amendments to the Constitution. The 15th Amendment granted African American men the right to vote in 1870, though many faced barriers that prevented them from voting for nearly a century afterward. The 19th Amendment, passed in 1920, finally allowed women to vote after decades of activism by the women's suffrage movement. And in 1971, the voting age was lowered from 21 to 18 through the 26th Amendment, largely in response to the Vietnam War, where young men argued they were old enough to fight but not old enough to vote. The fight for voting rights continues today, with debates over voter ID laws, early voting and mail-in ballots. American democracy has always been evolving, and the right to vote is a powerful reminder of the progress made and the work that still needs to be done. Here are a few more strange facts that add to the uniqueness of US elections. The chicken count. In colonial America, voters sometimes paid poll taxes with items like tobacco, fur, and even chickens instead of money. The longest presidential election. In 1824, the presidential election between John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson was so controversial that it had to be decided by the House of Representatives after Jackson won the popular vote, but failed to secure a majority in the Electoral College. It took months to resolve, highlighting the complexity of the electoral process. Dead people can vote. Believe it or not, there have been cases where ballots were cast by individuals who had already passed away, typically due to errors or voter rolls not being updated. This rare phenomenon has become an urban legend about ghost voting. Absentee ballots from space. US astronauts have the unique ability to vote from space. The first American to cast an absentee ballot from orbit was astronaut David Wolf in 1997. Today, there's a system that allows astronauts to vote electronically from the International Space Station. These unique quirks make US elections fascinating and sometimes amusing. The journey to the ballot box is filled with stories and traditions that highlight just how distinctive American democracy is. So, now you know why we vote on Tuesdays, along with some of the most surprising and strange facts about US elections. The voting process in America is full of quirks, from our historic Electoral College to the memorable campaign slogans and the push for voting rights. And as times change, perhaps we'll see even more evolution in how Americans cast their votes. If you could make one change to US elections, what would it be? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And before you go, don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this exploration, and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating insights into the world of history and culture. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep exploring the stories behind our everyday lives.